Do do bum 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 bum. Do do do. Hello everyone, it's me. I know you're all excited, and welcome to a patch note reading. I didn't think I'd be doing this, but this patch is so obscene that I kind of had to talk about it. It's a big patch. Very big patch. How big, you ask? Well, this is the new map of Dota 2. I know. It's a big, big patch. And it's also known as the Wandering Waters. Hang on. Yeah, I'm an incognito. There's no point in having this. Anyway. Oop, yeah, here. So I have looked at this yesterday. And earlier this morning. I kind of had to. I was curious. This is an obscene patch. To give you a basic rundown, they obviously changed the map. But they also reworked neutral items, there's new creeps, there's a lot of item reworks, there's a lot of new facets, there's a lot of new changes. So let's just get into it. Gameplay update 7.38, Wandering Waters. Run with the currents to get your safe lane faster, forge your own destiny with craftable neutral items, and dive into a deluge of new changes and improvements. A better, wetter world. Dota's map-dividing waterway has always been little more than a watery line in the sand, separating the warring factions of Radiant and Dire. But the river has finally broken its banks, flooding up to the high grounds and reshaping the field and flow of battle. So we'll just click on this set of clusters here. So the upside of the downstream, all these new waterways in the jungles aren't just an upgrade to the scenery. Running with the current will give you a speed boost towards your safe lane without slowing you down if you're running against the flow. An evolutionary leap. The creep camps are also getting refreshed in Wandering Waters in the form of a new amphibious creep type that evolves from Pollywog to Boglet to Croaker throughout the match. Transient Tormentor. Tormentors no longer spawn near each team's base. Instead, a single Tormentor will spawn at one of two locations in the corners of the map, depending on the time of day, which also means it'll always appear on the opposite side as Roshan. Amongst a bunch of other adjustments, the Tormentor also got a new ability that will leave behind a helpful healing AoE after it dies. Blood in the water. As with Wisdom Shrines, yes, Wisdom Shrines, not runes, you'll now need to stand inside a Lotus pool to collect its Lotus. Enemies in the area will stop the pool from activating, so make sure you're swimming alone. And mind the shrines. Wisdom runes have been relocated and replaced with Shrines of Wisdom. You can still snag experience for yourself and an ally, but now instead of plucking a rune off the ground, you'll need to stand in the shrine to earn the XP. The wrinkle. The shrine won't activate if there's an enemy hero in there with you. Nope. You'll have to earn a little privacy to bag the boon. And last but not least, Roshan's relocation. Roshan's two pits have been relocated to the river with new lairs near the two power runes. Roshan will spawn into the southern pit at the start of the match, but when daylight decides it's time to make a move, he'll walk the total distance between the two pits, tossing around any units he meets along the way. It's a pretty big change. It's a lot of big changes. You now go into a little bit of water on your safe lane, as stated. There's a lot more up and downs. I'll be looking at this later. I don't know how later. God only knows, to be honest. Anyway, this is just kind of how it gets explained. So you can see the hero go faster. And we can see all the little basic rundowns of sorts. So here is it not activating unless there's a hero near there. I mean, if there's an enemy hero, not in the radius. This is all about Roshan. And there's him just having a waltz. He's like, "Sup, I'm out of here. Goodbye." So there you go. The Tormentor just kind of sits there. Anyway, so here are all of the terrain changes. So this is what it used to look like in this part. Now it looks like this. This is what it used to look like in this part. Now it looks like this. And I'm just going to repeat the process so people get an idea. It's going to be fun figuring out all the new terrain stuff. Especially with like the waterways and things. I'm actually going to be afraid of doing the polywog stuff. But I do kind of think that something like this was necessary. Just simply because a big map change like this is a really good example. Like, you can see the trees and now there's no trees. But a big map change like this just makes the map a lot more interesting and intriguing. And then here it is on Dire. Like, just seeing the changes is terrifying to me. Even though this actually barely changed outside of the trees getting leaves. Oh no, up here. You can kind of see like up here. There's less pathway now, actually. This is a big overhaul. It's interesting to see that Roshan came back to the river as well. Like, he used to be in there. And then he got slapped on the outsides. So this is where the new gates are. We had little ward spots. I actually really like this bit as well, with how it leads up into this, because it makes it a bit more threatening to actually go and do this, to go and try to take the tower. But yeah, that's all the changes. Alright, steer the currents of power, introducing Madstone, a new resource that lets you craft neutral items unique to your playstyle and the circumstances of the match. Farming. The first step to getting custom neutral items is fully clearing a neutral creep camp. This will now earn you Madstone. 2 for yourself and 1 for a random ally. Artifacts and enchantments. Step 2. Save up Madstone to craft personalized neutral items. Each neutral is now made up of 2 parts. An artifact that gives you your item new abilities, and an enchantment that gives it passive stat / attribute bonuses. So you can see you can get, like, say, Syrian Signet with health and health regen, or you could get Essence Ring with spell lifesteal and lifesteal, or you could get Gossamer Cape with attack speed and bonus night vision, and you get the idea. See who's crafting what. There are 5 tiers of artifacts and enchantments available at specific windows throughout a match. Check out your team's crafting progress and help clear out camps to spread the wealth. And then neutrals at a glance. Browse every combination of artifact and enchantment in the updated neutrals tab while in game. Spectators can easily see every hero's crafting history. These 2 are really big. This kind of adds to gameplay, but also puts more of an emphasis on farming for kind of everybody, because you do need the resources to craft these. So, kind of important. The list of neutral item changes are available farther down. We also have quality of life. Dive into an ocean of adjustments and improvements to gameplay and mechanics. Roshan Timer. Hover over the Roshan Timer next to the minimap for an extra hint on whether everyone's favorite neutral creep boss is still pushing up Scryweed in the Underhollow, or might have already returned topside. I do like this change. This is very important. It makes it more tolerable for people to go like, hey, maybe someone should check the Roche Pit instead of having to mentally remember. The less you have to mentally remember, the more you can focus on your game. Mark for sell. Send an item to immediately be sold whether you're alive in your base or at the secret shop. Better yet, your courier is already up to speed on the changes and will take any marked items back to the fountain when it delivers a payload. This one is really nice. Sometimes you just need an item sold, and the time taken for that can be a bit arduous. It kind of like speeds up the game an itty bitty bit. This one is really cool as well. Added item targeting effects. We've added a host of item visual effects from Glimmer Cape to Lotus Orb and much more to help better communicate which hero is the source of the item's effects. So Forest, Glimmer, Lotus, Orchid, Diffusal Blade, Bloodthorn, Yules, Disperser, Scythe, Wind Waker, Bottle, Healing Lotus, Halberd, Solar Crest, Pavice, Hurricane Pike, Salve, Tango, Clarity, Mango, Observer Ward, Sentry Ward, Alchemist, Og Scepter, Moon Shard, Lincoln, Spear, Helm of the Dominator, Helm of the Overlord, Shadow Amulet, and Mjolnir are all the ones that are affected. So it's a big batch of items. Most of them were already known. All attributes display. See at a glance which talent tree attributes you've skilled up so far. This is already set like this, but down here, this is like the blips for the +2 all attributes. This was needed. Little undersection. Hunt timers only for Dota Plus though. You used to have to search all over the map to see all the various Dota Plus game timers. Thankfully, you can now just hold Alt to see the status of those timers at the top of your screen. You know, just in case you need to ping the time to your allies to remind them to do something important before your enemy does. I'm okay with this. Oracle does this partially, so it's not like it's not available in the game, but he only does it for, like, say, the power runes. This is a big buff to Dota Plus, though. So I know Friendo's going to have a field day with this. Though I don't... I'm assuming... Oh yeah, just hold Alt. Okay, and I'm assuming you can Alt-click as well. I don't have Dota Plus, so I'm not going to be able to show that. Backpack Grace Period. Crucial item delivery in the midst of a team fight should be a moment of game-turning triumph, not a moment of watching your team die 1 second before your backpack cooldown resets. To the aspirational end, you can now drag newly acquired items out of your backpack without the 6-second cooldown period and put them to use immediately. This one's big. I don't know if it's going to get abused, but this is always something that can make or break a game. So having something like this in, I think, is quite interesting and fair. Alright, now for the actual patch notes. That was a nice 10 minutes of nothing. Okay, we have a first really big one. Universal Heroes damage per attribute decreased from 0.7 to 0.45. As a result, many heroes that have had their base damages and attribute gains changed. This was needed by, like, a lot. What? I just saw that second one. But this was needed a lot. A lot of the issue with Universal Heroes was they had, like, too much damage, but also their stat gains were abysmal to compensate for this. I think it used to be, like, 0.6. Or like 0.5, and then it got spiked up to 0.7. It's having it balanced back down again is extremely good, not only for the stat gains for said heroes, but also just balance in general, because I think it used to be that if an item gave, like, say, let's say an item gave plus 10 to all stats. So for a strength hero, it would give 10 damage, an agility hero would get 10 damage, an int hero would get 10 damage. A universal hero would get 21. So over twice as much. Now it's closer to like 13. So it's strong. They still get more, but it's not as obscene. So, yeah. Skill points can now be spent on all attributes starting at level 2 instead of level 6. So, this one is interesting. I don't think there's that many heroes that would benefit severely from this. Like, certain strategies have come back now, I guess. But I don't think it's going to be anything obscene. There's not many heroes that go, oh, I don't want to use my other two skills for, like, the entire time of the match. I don't think there's that many heroes like that. So, this is a impacting change, but I don't think it's... Like, this is a big change, but I don't think it's going to actually do that much. We'll find out in time. Reflected spells now benefit from all bonuses the original cast had, including caster's facet upgrades, bonuses from talents, Og Shards and Og Scepter upgrades, and upgrades used to depend on Og's items the reflecting unit had. Huh. Alright. Well, that's changes to... Well, it was sort of already in the game. In a weird way. I was thirsty. Like, I remember if you had an Aghanim Scepter on you, but your opponent didn't, and they casted the respective spell, and it had the necessary whatever, it would cast as if you did it. So, yeah. If that makes any sense. Like, let's say, oh, the spell does 10 damage, but with an Aghanim Scepter, the damage gets doubled. If you had it, then they would get it. It would bounce back, and it would do 20, and so on. Anyway, this is a good change. This is fair change. Slow resistance now also increases minimum movement speed by the slow resist percent. 20% slow resist increases your minimum movement speed from 100 to 120. This only gets into effect from something like, I think Shadow Demon ult and getting hexed. Glyph of Fortification, creep duration decreased from 4 to 3 seconds. Okay, that's kind of big. Units no longer gain bonus movement speed during the night. Ooh. That sucks. That was so nice, but... Items that have entered a hero's backpack for the very first time now have a 3-second grace period where they can be swapped into the main inventory without any cooldown. This can only happen once per item per hero. Ah, okay. So it's a 3-second grace period, somewhat similar to like Cell, but this is still a pretty good change. Alright. Then we have Wandering Waters. Top and bottom outer rim areas are flooded by streams of traversable water. These streams have a current starting near the Tier 3 towers, right before the medium camp location, down to the Tier 1 towers, which is the former Twin Gate location. Going downstream increases current and max movement speed, while going upstream inflicts no penalty. Streams are separated by 2 zones, one with a strong current, which provides up to 150 bonus movement speed, and ones with a moderate, which provide up to 100 bonus speed. The current is strong from stream beginnings near each base up to the waterfalls near Tier 2 towers. All other stream sections are considered to have a moderate current. Bonus value depends on the face direction, ranging from 100% while going downstream to 0% at 90 degrees. Okay. Watchers, camps, and pathways in the areas have been slightly adjusted to give way for the stream. Yep, we saw that. Radiant Dire main jungles now also have a stream with moderate current, starting near the easy camp close to the mid-tier 1 towers. They join the outer streams, crossing the safe lane near the tier 2s. Okay. Objectives. Roshan. Roshan is back in the river with one pit located near each side lane. Top layer is slightly closer to Dire's jungle entrance, and bottom one is closer to Radiance. Only the active Roshan pit will show as a minimap icon. Okay, that's good. Roshan initially spawns in the bottom pit. Starting at 15 minutes into the game, Roshan will follow the day-night cycle, walking across the river towards his designated pit, top at night and bottom at day. He no longer has bonus movement speed moving between pits, and now has basic 25% slow resistance and additional 25% slow resistance when running between pits. Okay. When running into a hero while moving between pits, Roshan will stop and grab them before violently throwing them away. Upon landing, heroes are stunned for 1 second and take 200 pure damage, plus 0.5% of the target's current health per minute of game time. Each time Roshan throws a hero, he gains 70 bonus movement speed and increases throw damage by additional 100 until he reaches his destination pit. After 5 throws, Roshan ignores heroes on his way. So this is funny. I want to just see this happen. I'm curious if this will ever affect the game to any extent, because taking, say, 700 pure damage on assuming throw 5. Actually, no, it would be 600, assuming throw 5. Is a lot, and can really affect the team fight, depending on who it is. Plus, target's current health per minute of the game time. So, like, if you get hit when you're, say, max health, and it's been an hour, you are going to take 600 pure... You're going to take 200 to 600 pure damage, as well as 30% of your current health. That's pretty big. Throw distance 1500, max bonus movement speed 300, can be blocked by spell blocking abilities and items like Lincoln's, but can't be reflected. Heroes will be thrown away from a Roshan based on a relative position to him. Okay, added a Roshan icon near the minimap that shows Roshan's state. Alive, dead, maybe alive in location. If Rosh is dead, the status will also include a timer until his possible respawn. Since Roshan's respawn takes between 8 to 11 minutes during this window, the status will say that he may be alive, but also include a timer until the guaranteed respawn. If a team gains vision over Roshan or Roshan's roar of retribution is heard during the status, the timer will be updated to inform that Roshan is alive. Templar's Assassin's third eye innate will cause the icon to display exactly when and where Roshan was... Okay! That's really good. Disgusting. Roar of Retribution now applies a 2-second disarm on all affected units. Fair. Radius decreased from 900 to 600. Cast point increased from 0.1 to 0.5 seconds. Cooldown increased from 20 to 60 seconds. I would say this is fair. This was kind of short to begin with, assuming you couldn't kill him fast enough. But also it does the 2-second disarm, which can hypothetically affect it. Roshan's knockback now has a 2-second cooldown before it can be applied to the same unit again. This is to prevent stupid stuff like, say, Slark Dark Pact or Omni Knight Infinite Bashing. Added a unique attack animation for Bash, as well as a new animation and particles for Roar of Retribution. Very nice. Okay, Tormentor. Tormentor spawns repositioned to the corners of the map. There is only a single Tormentor active at a time. Tormentor now spawns for the first time at 15 minutes, or 7:30 in Turbo because of how it works. Tormentor now grants 250 gold to each team member on death. Still grants additional 280 gold when all team members already have an Og Shard. Tormentor is also dependent on the day and night cycle, so it's at Radiant side at night and a Dire side at day. As a result, it will appear at the Radiant side first, or at the Dire side in Turbo. Due to this, Roshan and Tormentor are always on opposite sides. Exceptions may apply in Turbo, because of how that works. Tormentor's abilities now scale with game time instead of number of deaths. Unyielding Shield damage absorb rescaled from 2500 plus 200 per death to 1900 plus 20 per minute of game time. So 15 minutes times... So 15 times 20 is 300. So it's weaker early. Unyielding Shield barrier regeneration rescaled from 100 to 100 per death to 30 plus 5 per minute of game time. So assuming 15, this is 75, so it's got more regen but barely on the first, like early. And then reflect damage percentage rescaled from 90 plus 20 per death to 50 plus 2 per minute of game time, so it's 80, and this is assuming minute 15. The Shining damage per second increased from 30 to 60, that's to compensate for the nerfs. Shining radius decreased from 1200 to 1000, and then Alleviation is a new ability. After dying, the Tormentor leaves behind a 900 radius aura that increases health regeneration of all units in the area by 2% of their max health last 15 seconds. I like this change. I think it's going to very much make capping it really impacting, because now it's like, okay, I'm taking damage, we're all taking damage, but now we're getting 30% of our max health back afterwards. Very fair. I think it's a good change. Overall, he's weaker early. He's going to be hypothetically stronger late. I do like the changes to Roshan and Tormentor, though. Tormentor is a big one, because now it's like an objective priority from minute 15. So it's definitely going to be like, okay, come minute 15, guys, there's going to be a team fight at Tormentor. So the time frame between, like, say 14 to 16 is going to be pretty impacting, I think, and team coordination is going to dictate whether or not that's going to be the case. I don't see Roche being done at minute 15. I see fights at Tormentor at minute 15. Lotus Pools. Changed the way the healing lotuses are collected from Lotus Pools. Lotus Pools now have 3 entrances and an empty region in the center. Heroes will automatically gather lotuses within 350 units of the center of a pool as long as they have available space in their inventory. The first lotus takes 1.5 seconds to collect, and each subsequent lotus in a row takes 30% less time. Second will take 1.05, the third 0.735, down to a minimum of 0.3. The timer only counts down when all heroes within range are on the same team, pausing if an enemy hero enters the area and resuming when enemies leave. If multiple ally heroes are all within range, the lotus will be granted to a random hero. These two are the big ones, though. Lotus pools will now spawn great lotuses after tier 4 neutral items are available. And after tier 5s, they will be greater lotuses. So, all remaining lotus, and additionally, all remaining lotuses will be combined and rounded up to the nearest number of great lotuses and greater lotuses. So, what makes these really good changes is because it lets these things scale. Because the lotus is never really scaled. I'm confused what is going on, but hi. Hope you are doing all good. I am doing very much all good, Anime Phase. I am reading patch notes for a game called Dota 2. We're at the boring part right now, where I don't get to do anything exciting. But then we'll get into the exciting part, hopefully, later. I'm just reading, like, all the big changes that have happened to the game as of literally yesterday. I left a like, too. Hopefully it supports you plenty. Thanks, man. It should, but who knows? But yeah, no, so now the lotuses will actually... So now the pools will actually scale better. It makes them better. It'll be very helpful. Shrines of Wisdom. Wisdom rooms removed and replaced with new buildings. Shrines of Wisdom. Shrines of Wisdom are located in the offlane side jungles between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 tier towers where the ancient camps used to be. Shrines will activate every 7 minutes, glowing and filling with experience. To gather the experience for an activated shrine, a hero must stand within 300 units for 3 seconds. Like Lotus Pools, the shrines will not count down time if an enemy hero contests by standing within the effect radius and will resume only if the enemy hero leaves an area or is killed. Experience will be granted to a random hero within 300 units of the shrine and also to their teammate with the lowest. The valves and behavior are identical to Wisdom Rooms. One can only hope indeed. That sounds all good though. Wish you all the absolute best. Thanks, man. I just gotta get through, like, the base changes, and then once we get to items, I can maybe see some interesting stuff. But I don't know. Okay, Benny Runes. Spawn interval increased from 3 minutes to 4 minutes. This is a little crippling for stuff like Alchemist. Gold provided after initial set rescaled from 36 plus 9 per 5 to 40 plus 6 per 4. I don't think that's better. I'm not sure. Other terrain changes. The region-specific map buffs, mining mines, etc. have been removed. So now it's just visual. That's silly. Corner outposts have been removed. It's kind of fair. I don't think they were ever used to any heavy extent. Actually, no, Roshan, and then teleporting to bind tier 2s on your safe lane. This is a big change. The twin gates have been repositioned to the corners of the map on a new high ground area near Tormentors. Touched up the map in general, slightly adjusted neutral camps, trees, and cliffs. Well, we definitely saw that. The map buffs were intriguing, but they were also really weird, so I kind of get why they were removed. The outposts being removed is also pretty big. It's less like lane teleports. But at the same time, the outposts are now still technically near Roche, so I guess that's why they've been removed, type deal. Lifesteal. This is a lot of words. Individual abilities no longer have special rules about how lifesteal works in different situations. Heroes versus creep versus illusion, damage types, etc. Lifesteal mechanics are now consistent across every ability. Lifesteal applies to physical damage from attacks and is reduced by 40% when damaging non-heroes. Spell lifesteal now applies to physical damage from spells and magic damage from spells or attacks, and is reduced by 80% when damaging non-heroes. Neither lifesteal nor spell lifesteal apply to pure damage. Okay, fair. Bit of a nerf to, like, Axe. So, don't build lifesteal on Axe. Understood. Holding Alt while looking at items that provide lifesteal or spell lifesteal will show the lifesteal percentages for attacking and casting spells and targeting creeps versus heroes. That's fair. And also quite helpful. The following sources and targets do not provide any lifesteal. Attacks that do not proc attack modifiers. Example, Cleave, Luna's Bouncing Glaives. Attack damage against wards, buildings, or couriers. Fair, I think that was normal. Spell damage against illusions, wards, buildings, or couriers. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Couriers is fair, buildings is fair, wards is fair. Illusions is interesting. That's a pseudo nerf for PL. Probably. Reflected damage. Blade mail return. Oh. Damn. That's pretty big. Spells to remove health instead of dealing direct damage. That don't break Blink Dagger, like Orb of Venom or Necrophosis Heartstopper Aura. That's fair, because that would be stupid otherwise. Enemies dealt to self or allies. That's also fair, that would be stupid. Small number of abilities that do not use Lifesteal, spell Lifesteal still result in healing and can benefit from Lifesteal Amp. Holding Alt while looking at tooltips for these abilities will describe their interaction with Lifesteal Amp. Open Wound, Life Sealers. Open Wounds heals attackers for a percent of the damage done. Life Sealers Feast heals for a percentage of the target's max health. Meepos Ransack heals all Meepos for a flat amount each strike. Okay. This one is big. But I feel like that's been out for a while. This one is fair. The really big one is spell damage against illusions. But actually, no, that makes sense. I just realized that. Because illusions take extra damage. So it'd be stupid. I'm dumb. Never mind. I'm stupid. Alright. Neutral Creep updates. Hooray! Flooded camps. Neutral Creep camps that reside within a stream are considered flooded camps. Flooded camps are populated with new amphibian neutral creeps. These camps are easy camp on the rim between tier 1 and 2 towers, medium camp on the rim near the tier 2 tower, and a medium camp in the main jungle that was on the stream's way and used to be a hard camp. As the tide of battle rises, creeps in these special camps evolve. I really like this mechanically, and I wish some of the other creep camps did this as well. But anyway, every 5 minutes, one of the creeps in that camp will be forever upgraded to a next tier. Each camp consists of 3 units. As a result, at 15, easy camps completely turns into a medium. Both medium will become hard. At 30, medium camp will become a hard, and both hard camps evolve into ancient. Each creep can only be upgraded twice, meaning an easy camp will never reach an ancient status. Sorry, Polywogs. Units are not upgraded if the camp is blocked. Amount of upgraded units can't be increased, so if there's only one ancient creep attacking to stack, that camp will not increase another ancient creep. The only thing that I don't get about this is if it's gonna bug out with this. That's my only questioning thing with this. But I really love this concept of the camps evolving, and I hope they kind of do that for some of the other camps in the game. These camps consist of the following creeps. Easy camp is 3 Polywogs. Medium is 2 Boglets and a Marsh Mage Apprentice. They also dictate the average bounty and average XP in these little infos. Hard camp is 2 Croakers and a Marsh Mage. Ancient is 2 Ancient Croakers and an Ancient Marsh Mage. And the new neutral creeps are detailed below. So Polywogs are a level 2 melee with 400 health and 200 mana, 270 movement speed, 19 to 21 damage, 1 armor and 0 magic resist with 17 to 19 gold and 30 XP bounty. And they have Riverborn aura, and every single one has it. Every single one. Okay, it's on this guy, it's on this guy, it's on this guy, it's on every single one. So I'm only reading it once. All units within the 1200 range receive a 10 to 16% movement speed and outgoing damage bonus as long as the aura owner is in water. This is very interesting as a passive. Just simply for what this is. It's extremely crippling and only available in very specific spots on the map. But it's very interesting. But also, I'm curious as to how this functions with Slardar within regards to him getting like a helm and his gimmick, which is creating puddles that act as river. Or I should specify water, but yeah. Okay, then you have Boglets, which are level 4 melee creeps. 700 health, 300 mana, 22 to 24 damage, 290 movement speed. 2 armor and 0% magic resist, so double the armor, more damage, like 75% more health. They're just better. Okay, Arm of the Deep, active. Sends out tentacles in the target direction, stunning enemies for 0.8 seconds and dealing 80 to 140 damage. Range 275, mana cost 40, cooldown 16 seconds. And neutrals will only cast this ability on the closest enemy if there are 3 or more enemies within 550, double the ability's cast range radius. This is just how abilities like this generally function. After that, all the copies of this ability on other neutral boglets within range are put on a 5-second cooldown. Essentially speaking, this is how this works for other abilities like this. I don't know about this bit, but I'm assuming that this is the same across all of them. So that's that. Marsh Mage Apprentice, level 4 range creep, 700 health, 300 mana, 24 to 27 damage, 290 movement speed, and 250 attack range, 2 armor and 0% magic resist, 25 to 29 gold, 42 XP bounty. So they have Water Bubble, which is create a small barrier bubble that protects the target from 100 to 160 magical damage for 10 seconds. Cast range 550, mana cost 90, cooldown 16. Neutrals will cast this ability on a random ally that is below half health. And then, as stated, Riverborn auras. Croaker, new level 4 melee creep, 900 health, 350 mana, 41 to 46 damage, 300 move speed, 3 armor, 0% magic resist, 37 to 41 gold, and 55 XP bounty. Tendrils of the Deep. Sends out tentacles in a cone shape, target direction, stunning enemies for 1.2 seconds and dealing 120 to 180 damage. 300 range, 50 mana cost, 18-second cooldown. Tendrils of the Deep has the same mechanics as Arm of the Deep in terms of not recasting. Then we have the Marsh Mage. So, ranged creep level 4, 900 health, 350 mana, 40 to 45 damage, 300 movement speed, 250 attack range, 3 armor, 0% magic resist, 37 to 41 gold, and 55 XP bounty. Water Bubble Medium. Creates a barrier bubble that protects the target from 150 to 240 magical damage for 10 seconds. After the bubble bursts, heals the target for 50% of that amount. Cast range 550, mana cost 100, cooldown 16. So you kind of get how this works. These polywogs essentially upgrade into either these or these upgrade into these. The Marsh Mage Apprentices become into these, blah, 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 blah. And then has the same mechanics as Water Bubble Small in regards to casting. Alright, then we have the Ancient Croaker, level 5 Ancient Melee Creep, 1250 health and 450 mana, 60 to 64 damage, 300 movement speed, 5 armor, and 30% magic resist. They finally get magic resist because they are considered ancient creeps for context. 53 to 56 gold and 104 XP bounty. Congregations of the Deep sends out tentacles in 6 directions around itself, stunning enemies for 1.4 seconds and dealing 250 to 325 damage. Range 300, mana cost 70, cooldown 20. And then same thing with that. Ancient Marsh Mage. New level 5 Ancient Range Creep. 1250 health and 450 mana. 58 to 62 damage. So they finally do less. A little silly. 5 armor and 30% magic resist. They have 500... Wow, that's a big attack range upgrade. 5 armor, 30% magic. Water Bubble Large. Barrier Bubble. 210 to 300 magic damage protection for 10 seconds. Heals the target and all allies in a 675 radius for 50% of that amount. Cast range 550, mana cost 110, cooldown 16 seconds. And then same with that. All in all, I think this camp is really interesting. I really hope that there's more evolution mechanics for creeps. I'd like to see it on the normal ones, but at the same time, I also know that this is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 models. You know, and it's like, they have abilities which are just respective upgrades and such. So it's going to be, could they? Yes. Will they? Probably no, because it's a lot of work. Then again, who knows? Ancient Prowlers have returned as an intro-neutral camp. Each camp consists of 2 Prowler Acolytes and a Prowler Shaman. Average bounty 158 gold and 314 XP. Previously, average bounty was 179.5 gold and 195 XP. However, the neutral creep upgrade system was introduced since Prowler's removal, so their bounty and stats will increase over time. Returning Ancient Melee Creep. Health increased from 600 to 750. XP bounty increased from 50 to 95. Gold bounty decreased from 52 to 58 to 37 to 43. Base attack time increased from 1.5 to 2 seconds. Base attack speed increased from 100 to 135. Attack point decreased from 0.83 to 0.3. Changes result in longer attack time, but smaller time between attacks, leaving overall DPS unchanged. Turn rate improved from 0.5 to 0.9. Prowler Aura no longer stacks with itself. Prowler Aura Lifesteal rescaled from 10 to 9 to 12%. And then the Prowler Aura Health Regen rescaled from 10 to 9 to 12. So, overall, interesting to see this come back. Ancient Prowler Shaman, this is the big one that people care about. Ancient Melee Creep, level increased from 5 to 6. Health increased from 1200 to 1400. XP bounty increased from 95 to 124. Gold bounty increased from 58 to 69 to 76 to 80. Base attack time increased from 1.5 to 2. Attack speed increased from 100 to 135. Attack point decreased from 0.8 to 0.3, same as the other one. Turn rate improved from 0.5 to 0.9. Desecrate, number of enemy units in range required to trigger a cast increased from 1 to 3. Good, because this was stupid. Petrify, neutrals will autocast this ability only if the Ancient Prowler Shaman has less than 90% health at the start of the attack. DPS increased from 75 to 100. Petrify duration decreased from 2 seconds to 1.2 to 1.5 seconds. And the damage tick interval decreased from 0.5 to 0.1 seconds. There you go. It's good to see these back. I know there's going to be a lot of salt with these. But if I remember correctly, Desecrate was was the dumb one. But then again, I think that might have been Petrify. I'm not sure. Other creep changes. Kobold Prospecting Aura no longer unbreakable. Weird that it wasn't, but alright. Ancient Thunderhide. Slam number of enemy units in range required to trigger a cast decreased from 4 to 3. Don't know why it was so high, but, 3 is just a sweet magic number. Item updates. I gotta pee. Wrong button. I'll be back in a second. I am back. Device redefined. Okay. Item updates. The good stuff. Block of cheese. Scrumptious now restores 3,000 health and 2,000 mana when consumed. Scrumptious' Savory Shield now has a 5-minute duration. Scrumptious can no longer be cast on an ally to give them the buff. However, item is still fully shareable. Okay. So, this item is probably like... What is this to a large amount of the community? In order to make this, you needed greater healing lotuses, I think like 3 of them, and a cheese. So you needed a Roshan item, and an item that prior used to take like over 20 minutes of lotus farming. I think maybe even more. So now it's like a lot less lotus farming, and it's usable. For what this item actually does, because it doesn't say... it basically gives you a all damage barrier, which is now only for 5 minutes. It's still pretty good. I don't know if this Savory Shield is going to keep going, like, period, if you die. I'm assuming yes. I could probably make one really quickly. Let's actually do that right now. I'm not gonna show it. I don't think it's really necessary. No. Quiet, Bristle. To be fair, I don't even think I can make it. Oh, they improved the demo. That's cool.
Everybody get set.
Give. I don't know the controls. Yeah, I don't think I can make it. Dota to give item command. I'm gonna still try. Okay, so okay, so item block. Item cheese. Okay, I got cheese. What is the name of Lotus? Can I seriously not give myself Lotus? No. Item healing Lotus. Okay. Give Lotus. Item. Give healing Lotus. Item command. Okay. Item. Greater Famango. Apparently. Okay, made. That took a while. Make an enemy. So it still goes to 500. So... Okay. Now I can show this. Finally, it only took me 30 hours. Okay. Hey, it's Dota. Alright, got a bristleback with the cheese. I am just curious if it's still available on... Okay, yes it is. Okay. Can it be purged? Oh, the basic. What is a hard dispel in this game? If there even is one to do on enemies. Strong dispel. No. No, there is not. Okay. I was just checking. Okay. But yeah, that's how that item works. So we can now go over here, pop this back on. Alright. Bottle. No longer refills when carrier has a lingering fountain regeneration buff. Carrier must physically be in the fountain. Basically, F you. If you want your bottle refilled, walk back, put it in the courier, something. You can't have your allies teleport and refill your bottle. This is going to be a big change to competitive and also high-tier Dota, because low-tier people don't generally tend to do this. So there's that. Actually, I'm going to talk about this still. So, this still going through death is fine. 5 minutes is still a lot. Aegis is 5 minutes. So, yeah. No longer be cast an ally to give them the buff. Item is still shareable. This is fine. And then this is just... The fact that it didn't is just really dumb. And that's just block of cheese in general. Block of cheese has just been a weird item. Because of the Lotus changes, for how greater Lotuses and stuff apply, I feel like this is going to be seen more now. But God only knows. Orb of Blight. Blightstone renamed to Orb of Blight. Because, why not? Lets the corruption duration decrease from 8 to 3 seconds. Alright. Sure. Why not? Orb of Frost. New item. New basic equipment item. Costs 250 gold. Provides no bonuses. So it's like this. Passive Frost. On attack, slows the enemy by 13% if the target is ranged and by 5% if the target is melee. Reduces target's incoming healing by 13%, duration 3 seconds. Okay. This is pretty decent. But also, I'm pretty sure Orb of Venom kind of used to do that. If I remember correctly. Okay, so it used to do the melee slow, but the range slow was slightly weaker and it didn't do the healing. This, though, is big. There's not much healing changes that are available in the game. So having this available as just a cheap 250 gold item is pretty big. This does build into Scotty, so it's just to like do stuff to kind of make Eye of Scotty more intriguing and have it available earlier because it's not really super available right now. Orb of Venom. Costs increase from 250 to 350. How dare you? Poison attack has a 9-second cooldown. Why? Poison attack no longer slows movement speed. Understandable. Poison attack damage per second increased from 2 to 10. And duration increased from 2 to 3. Okay, so let's talk about this. I feel like this item is going to be strong or potentially meta for range supports. Especially ones with large attack range or something. Because, yeah, it's a 9-second cooldown, but it's still assuming base resistance into account. This is still 21 damage available every 9 seconds, which isn't bad. You can somewhat counter regen pretty decently for this. I feel like this is going to be an item that's going to shape laning, but I have no idea. This is one of those things that I really do think it's going to affect a lot of range supports, though. I feel like this is going to get built a lot. That's just me. Sentry Ward. Restock time decreased from 80 to 70 seconds. Pretty big buff. True sight radius increased from 1,000 to 1050. Okay, so it got buffed. 50 extra. Don't fully know why. Maybe to account for melee range. I have no idea. Smoke of Deceit added a visual indicator over the caster of the smoke. Really? I want to see the actual visual. So am I? All right, let me get out of here. Let's see this visual indicator. Ooh, that's a nice visual indicator. That's gonna help a lot with trying to figure out who to go. Because if you go to the person who made the smoke, you get the speed boost, so this helps a lot with team coordination, especially in pubs. I like that a lot. That's a nice change. I'm going to be shuffling around so much. Windlace. Cost decreased from 250 to 225. Movement speed bonus decreased from 20 to 15. Ew. Alright, it got nerfed. Casual Windlace is only 15 move speed. It's very silly. Abyssal Blade recipe changed. Okay. Now requires Skull Basher, Sange, and a 1275 gold recipe. Total cost unchanged at 62.50. Used to be Skull Basher, Vanguard, and a 1675 recipe. Now provides plus 35 damage, 26 strength, 25% slow resist, 25 health, and lifesteal amp. No longer provides 250 health and 10 health regen. Remove damage block ability. This is just removed because of Vanguard being removed. I'm going to talk about this a little bit when I get to another item farther down. But then we have Arcane Boots. Replenish mana renamed to Replenish. This is just to match the naming of mechanisms Restore and Guardian Greaves' Men, both of which are made sort of in conjunction with Arcane Boots. Because in order to make Guardian Greaves, you need Mechanism and yada yada. And also Arcanes. Battle Fury recipe change. Now requires a second broadsword instead of a claymore. So the cost went down. Recipe cost increased from 450 to 600. Total cost decreased from 4,100 to 3,900. Bonus damage decreased from 65 to 50. Cleave damage to heroes decreased from 70 to 60%. Okay, 200 gold less and 15 damage less kind of hurts. But the faster you make this item, the better for farming reasons on a lot of the heroes that need it. And you always kind of want the farming items to be cheaper anyway. The cleave damage to hero nerf sucks. I do get why... Ignoring the cost reduction, I do kind of get why this got nerfed, because some meta heroes are designed around it. But yeah, interesting to see how this got tweaked, shall we say. Bloodstone no longer provides plus 75 AoE radius increase. Boo! Blood Pack now applies a basic Dispel on cast. That's not that bad. That's pretty fair for all the changes that it got over the years. But ow. Anyway. I don't know how to feel on this. The basic Dispel is nice. Actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh! Okay. It's to put it more in line with how Satanic is for right-clickers, basically. Because it amps your spell lifesteal like how Satanic amps your normal lifesteal.
Got a feeling things are gonna pick up real soon.
Be quiet, announcer. So I actually get that change. Now that I read that. Losing the AoE radius increase sucks, though, because I don't think there's anything that does it now. Bloodthorn. Soul Rend True Strike on the silenced target is now limited only to item owner and their controlled units. Bonus damage is still applied for all attacks against the target, but True Strike doesn't affect your allies anymore. Okay. That's fine. I kind of understand that. It's a nerf, but it's not awful. Soul Rend Silence visual above affected targets is now tinted red to better distinguish Bloodthorn's silence from other sources of silence. Really? Blood. No. Get out.
By all means.
Is it?
I'll sort this out.
What did it say again? Silence visual above. I need to compare this with using Silencer. Because I know Silencer has silences.
That way.
Okay, give you this. Just...
Not a whisper.
I cannot tell. At all. So, I don't know what they're talking about. I cannot visibly tell. So this is like, okay, but I can't tell. Boots of Bearing, total cost decrease from 42.75 to 42.25 due to Windlace cost decrease. Was it 50? What? I think they screwed up with that wording. No, it's 42.25. Is this even cheaper? No, it's 225. Okay. Don't know. Oh, because it needed 2. I'm stupid. Alright, never mind. I'm just brain dead. Ignore me. This needed 2 wind laces throughout all of its ingredients. I can't see chat. I can see chat. Nothing new. Put you over here. There. German endurance total cost decreased from 1650 to 1625. Yep. Endurance no longer uses charges. Good, because this is stupid. Why was it even charges? Endurance cooldown increased from 30 to 45 seconds. Kind of a crippling nerf, but fine. Endurance bonus attack speed decreased from 45 to 35. Swiftness arm movement speed bonus decreased from 20 to 15. Ow. Got nerfed. What's the Boots of Bearing cooldown for compensation reasons? It is still 30. Okay, so you basically upgrade it to buff it. There we go. That's fair. Ethereal Blade, Etherblast primary attribute multiplier for universal heroes decreased from 60 to 45%. Okay, that's just to compensate for what happened to them. Yule Scepter of Divinity, total cost. I'm not reading that. Well, 2625 to 2600, there you go. Scotty, recipe change. Now also requires Orb of Frost. Recipe cost decreased from 1300 to 1050. Total cost unchanged at 5300. Alright, that's fair. It's kind of awkward now, because this used to just be secret shop items, and now it's like, oh, you needed a recipe, and now you need this thing. It's just silly. Hand of Midas. Transmute now grants a Madstone bundle when used on a neutral creep. I don't know if that means 1 or not. I'd have to test that, which I'll do later. Heaven's Halberd item rework. What? Requires Vanguard, Crown, Ring of Regen, and a 275 gold recipe. Total cost 2600. Provides 275 health, 600 health regen, and +5 all attributes. Damage block grants 60% chance to block 60 damage from attacks on melee and 30 on ranged. Active Disarm now can be dispelled. Mana costing decreased from 75 to 25. Duration and range heroes decreased from 5 to 4 seconds. What? Okay, melees were 3. Okay. This mana cost change is massive. The mechanics itself as well are also really massive. Because it used to give evasion. It used to be the, you know, screw that right clicker over there from hurting me. And now it doesn't really do that anymore. Evasion is only available on Butterfly and Radiance now. This is a really big change. I don't know how I feel on it. Because it's like... And this is kind of the thing that I'm talking about. And I'll talk about this too. So it's like... This is now the Vanguard item. And now this is... Where is it? And this is your Sange. I really don't know how I feel on the change as a whole. Like, this is obviously like the advanced carry or advanced Sange now. And this is like the advanced Vanguard. I don't really know how I feel on it. I feel like this item got worse. Then again, it's like... It got a big mana cost nerf. The other thing, too, is like the now can be dispelled. I don't know if this is going to be a built item anymore. Maybe yes, just because it's cheap. It gives some nice stats and regen to your offlaner. But I don't know. It's one of those things that it's like I can only see with time. I really have no idea. Like, Abyssal is still gonna get picked. This is super good for like strength carries. This is good for carries that want stun. This just does so much for carries in that sense. The Vanguard was okay, but it wasn't super valuable. But people build Sange early. Like, that's the thing. People build Sange early. Carries like building Sange early because of what it does. And then you have Sange and Yasha, which I'll get to later. So, I don't know how I feel on this one. I'd really have to test it to see if it's good or not. but that can now be dispelled kind of gimps the item a bit, I think. Because this is one of the few ways that you could deal with right-clickers, basically. Now it's kind of gone. Gleipnir item rework. Recipe changed. Now requires point booster instead of maelstrom. Okay. Recipe cost increased from 550 to 1100. Total cost decreased from 5750 to 4550. Now also provides AoE bonus and 200. Oh, this is the AoE item now. Okay. Health bonus increased from 275 to 450. Int bonus decreased from 24 to 15. Eternal change no longer deals damage. Eternal change radius decreased from 350 to 275, but effective.
As many trees in a long time.
Alright, you are shutting up. You're annoying. There. Okay. Sorry. Eternal change radius decreased from 350 to 275. Effective spell radius unchanged due to items built in AoE bonus. Fair. Total change mana cost decreased from 200 to 100. Move chain lightning ability. Okay, this is a huge change. My god. What was the other Gleipnir? Rod of Atos? This actually is really nice for Underlord. Because he likes Rod of Atos. He likes Gleipnir. He doesn't really right-click, and he doesn't really do much spell damage. This is a really nice Underlord item. I'm going to have to think about this. This one's a very big change. The concept of this item was, you know, it was really good for, like, a lot of heroes that liked Atos because it gave them some sort of, like, farming ability, essentially speaking. Now, you don't really have that now, but, man, this is very neat. Very interesting to see how this goes. I'm going to have to think about that. Mage Slayer recipe changed. Now requires Gloves of Haste, Cloak, Orb of Venom, and Cornucopia. Total cost decreased from 2825 to 2800. Used to require Oblivion Staff, Cloak, and a 400 gold recipe. No longer provides 10 int. Now provides 5 health regen and 8 damage. Attack speed bonus decreased from 45 to 30. Giving this the Orb of Venom actually makes sense because of what it does. So that's fair. The Cloak is still there. And then getting the lack of int and attack speed for some health and damage is, I guess, okay. But yeah, I could see this getting changed because of Orb of Venom. So there's that one. Now I don't have music. Amazing. Alright. Well, we'll put him back then. Just so I can have music. I gotta have something in the background.
I make my move.
Yeah. Okay. Mask of Madness, Berserk.
Everyone.
Yeah. Berserk bonus movement speed decreased from 30 to 25. Okay. I got nerfed. There you go. Orb of Corrosion item rework requires Orb of Frost, Orb of Blight, and a Band of Elven Skin. Total cost 1,000. Provides 8 agility. This, I didn't see that it needs the Band of Elven Skin when I read this, so I just saw this and was like, what? Why? Alright, passive Corrosion. On attack, slows the enemy by 16% if the target is ranged, by 6% if the target is melee. Also reduces the target's incoming healing by 20% of their armor by 3, duration 3 seconds. Armor reduction does not stack with its components, Desolator, Stygian, Desolator. I'm really intrigued to see how this item is going to go. This item was actually really interesting because it used to be a Glove of Haste. And so it would give you attack speed. And it was also Ring of Protection. So it gave armor. And it was good on something like, say, Axe, in my honest opinion. Now it's just 8 agility, which is still that armor and attack speed, but not really. It's like, what Agi heroes would want to buy that? You wouldn't see this on a non-Agi hero now just because of the stat providing. Because it's 8 attack speed and like 1 armor to like a non-Agi. It's kind of meh. So I'm curious who's going to build this now. Looking at what's considered like an agi hero, even like universal heroes, I'm very curious on what this is going to be. So it'll be interesting to see what gets implemented. Right. Phylactery. Empower spell cooldown increased from 6 to 12 seconds. That is a massive nerf. Empower spell movement slow decreased from 50 to 30%. But slow duration increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. Okay, so this one's fine, but this is a huge nerf. I don't know what condos is now, but that's a lot of words. Recipe change. Now requires Tiara of Celamine instead of Crystallis. Recipe cost increased from 500 to 1500. Total cost increased from 5100 to 5900. Now provides 8 mana regen instead of 50 damage. Okay. Remove critical strike ability. Empower spell no longer deals attack damage. Empower spell bonus damage increased from 150 to 250. Empower spell now applies break to the target, disabling their passive abilities for the duration. And then the empower slow changes from Phylactery. This is huge. What is the cooldown on this again? I think it's still 6 seconds. Oh, it's 12 seconds. Why does it not say? That's a little annoying. But it's like... Okay, let me explain it like this. This is now the caster version of Silver Edge. That's what this is. This is caster's Silver Edge, and I am completely okay with that. But man. Man. That's a lot. It's going to be very interesting to see this get played out. Like, this just got a huge overhaul. This was like, oh, you know, apply big chunk of damage based on your, like, attacks, basically. And now it's not that anymore. But to be fair, who was building it? Not casters. Which is, like, the whole point of this item right here. So I get why this got changed. Because why would a caster want a Crystallis? Literally barely anybody. This is going to be a big change, honestly speaking. Actually, what's the bonus damage of Silver Edge? It's 300. Alright. It's not as strong, but still. This is a huge change. It's basically... A lot of these changes are like... Give this to a caster, basically. Like, this is the caster version of Satanic. This is the caster version of... Silver Edge. This is the caster version of something that cripples melee, which I guess is Heaven's Halberd now that I think about it. Yeah, I think so. I guess that's why it got changed. Revenant's Brooch. Requires Crystallis, Voodoo Mask, and a 600 gold recipe. Costs 3,300. Provides 35 damage and 16% spell lifesteal. Remove Phantom Province ability. Passive Phantom Critical. Grants each attack a 30% chance to deal bonus magical damage equal to 80% of the attack's damage. This is considered a critical strike for other sources of critical strikes. This ability has no effect on buildings. This got a big overhaul. This used to be... You would activate it and your spells... Or your attacks... now costs 75 mana, but they would do magic damage instead, and now it's this. I am actually not sure who would build this, to be honest. I could see, like, Lena building it, I think. Just simply because of how she works. I could see Tiny building this, but also I could just see Daedalus Tiny instead. It's very... This is going to be one of those items where I'm really curious on how this is going to go on the playing field. Sanjin Yasha. Status resistance bonus decreased from 25 to 20%. I'm going to talk about this item really quickly. So, the meta that is in effect right now, as far as I know, is instead of building BKB, which kind of sucks, you build Glimmer Cape, which gives you magic resistance, as well as a somewhat decent-ish active effect. And you build Sanjin Yasha for the status resistance. And you basically have like a pseudo BKB kind of going on all the time. Because it lowers the effects of enemy spells and all this other stuff. I kind of get why, even if it's more expensive and it's an extra slot. Because, like, look, BKB is a really weird item right now. It used to be one of the defining items of Dota, and when you change one of the defining items of Dota, it affects the entire game. Because BKB, as far as I can tell, doesn't really get built all that much anymore. Where is my thingy? Oh no. I don't know where that thing is. Great. I gotta refill my sippy. So let me refill my... Oh, I put it over there in my recycling, like an idiot. Just give me a minute. There we go. Put this over here. Very good. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Okay. Alright, so I can see why this got nerfed. It's interesting to see that Glimmer Cape didn't get nerfed, but Glimmer Cape is also like a support item. If you do that, you cripple supports in a big way. So I kind of see why this is getting nerfed. I don't see this getting nerfed all that much more, though, because I don't think you can. I really don't. Because it's like the other buffs that the other items get is like based around 25%. You can't really nerf those. But it's like, how low are you gonna put that status resist? Are you going to put it to like 10? Because then it'd probably never get built anymore, and you might as well remove it at that point. It could go to 15 maybe, but this is one of those things that I think is just going to get gone. But I don't know. Shadow Blade. Recipe changed. Now requires Claymore 1350 instead of Broadsword 1000. Total cost increased from 3000 to 3350. Bonus damage increased from 20 to 25. And then Silver Edge, total cost increased from 5450 to 5800 due to Shadow Blade changes. Bonus damage increased from 60 to 70. Okay, simple enough. Slight nerfs cost-wise, but at least it does more damage. Solar Crest, cost change, minus 25 due to Windlace. Tranquil Boots, cost change, minus 25 due to Windlace. Actually, I'll be fair. 2600 to 2575, 920 to 900, 680. Wind Waker, cost decreased from 6825 to 6800. Witchblade, recipe change. Now requires Orb of Venom. Recipe cost decreased from 600 to 250. Total cost and change at 2775. This makes sense because of what Orb of Venom does. There you go. Now we go down to neutral item updates. Okay. Neutral crafting. Neutral creeps no longer drop neutral tokens. Neutral stash has been removed. Neutral items can no longer be dropped or moved to the hero's backpack. When available, fully clearing a neutral creep camp provides the player with Madstone. Collecting enough Madstone allows the player to craft a neutral item by selecting one artifact and one enchantment. Obtaining Madstone. Fully clearing a neutral creep camp provides Madstone for the killing player's team. The player who collects the Madstone receives 2 and 1 is given to a random teammate. Clearing ancient camps provide 3 to the killer and 2 are split between random teammates. Dropped Madstone is automatically collected if there are no enemy heroes within an 800 unit radius of the last creep to die, and there is an allied hero within 1200 units of the dead creep. Otherwise, it is left on the ground where the creep died and can be collected by other team. Drop Madstone automatically expires after 20 seconds. If the player who collects the Madstone is already at their limit, more info below. All of their Madstone is evenly split between teammates. This is fair, and I think this is explained pretty decently. At least I think so. Item tiers. Neutral items are now composed of 2 parts, the artifact and the enchantment. Artifacts are the ability of the item and can be passive and or active. Enchantments provide passive stats and attributes to items. Similar to the previous neutral item system, items are arranged by tiers. Each tier is only available past a specific point in time. More info below. Each artifact belongs to a single tier. Enchantments have multiple levels and can be found in multiple tiers. I'm going to show this visually at least once or twice, once I get through all of the text. Crafting. When crafting, the players are given a choice of 4 artifacts and 4 enchantments and choose one of each. Artifacts will provide 3 options from the current tier, and the last option will be to keep the current artifact. Tier 1 players are given 4 random choices since they have no neutral. Enchantments will provide 4 options from the current tier with no option to keep the current enchantment. Given that enchantments exist across multiple tiers, it is possible that players can get the same enchantment multiple tiers in a row, but it is not guaranteed. Crafting a neutral item replaces the existing neutral item if there is one. Players must craft a tier 1 neutral before they can craft a tier 2 neutral, and a tier 2 before a tier 3 to tier 3 to tier 4, tier 4 to tier 5. Crafting a tier 1 neutral item takes 5 madstone. Crafting tiers 2, 3, 4, or 5 neutral takes 10. But tier 5 neutral items can be recrafted for an escalating 10 madstone. So the first time you recraft it, it's going to cost 20. Second time, it's going to cost 30, then 40, then 50, and you get the idea. Players are limited in the amount of madstone they can attain at any given point in time. At specific intervals, the limit will increase enough to allow players to craft the next tier of neutral item. At the start of the game, the mad cap is 0. No madstone will drop from killed creep camps. At 5 minutes, the madstone cap is increased to 5. This is enough to craft a tier 1. At 15, the madstone is increased to 15, 25 to 25, 35 to 35, and at 60, it's increased to 45 to make a tier 5. So it's pretty simplistic, and that's how the timers for the neutral items work. At 70 minutes, the madstone cap is removed, and players can collect infinite madstone. This is so that the player can recraft their tier 5 neutral item infinite times. Turbo madstone availability times are halved. So tier 1s are available starting at 2 minutes 30, and so on and so forth. Collecting madstone results in 3 madstone for the player and 2 for their team, and ancient creeps give 4 and 3 for their team. For the primary player, and then 3 for the team. So that's how that works. And then we have all of the neutrals. So let's begin with the tier 1s. So mana draw, tier 1 neutral, active, bottoms up. Restore 60 mana plus 2% of the caster's max mana over 6 seconds. Taking damage from an enemy hero or Roshan ends the effect early. Can be shared similarly to Bottle, with the effect still dependent on the caster's mana range. Cast range 650, no mana cost, 40-second cooldown. Passive fill up, cooldown speed is increased by 30% while in water. It's not bad. It's definitely just like, hey, I'm a caster, need to get some mana in between my team fights. It's simple enough as that. Occult Bracelet, now tier 1 neutral. Passive Rites of Eloshar. Each time the wearer is attacked, they gain a stack of 0.4 mana regen up to 5 stacks, less up to 5 seconds. So this is sort of the offlaner's version of the mana drought, because they get attacked or they farm. Orb of Destruction, tier 1 neutral. Passive impeding corruption attacks reduce our target's armor by 2 and slow their movement by 10% if the wearer is melee or 5% if their range lasts 5 seconds. This used to be a tier 2, so drop down. It's a pretty decent thing for like carries. Pig Pull, tier 1 neutral. Active Pig Out, turn your hero into a critter for 4 seconds to give them 50% movement speed. No mana cost, 25-second cooldown. It's like a pseudo mobility thing. It's fine. Polywog Charm, new tier 1 neutral. Active Ribbit. Increase an ally's health regeneration by 8 for 10 seconds. While in water, the blessed unit also moves 10% faster. Cast range 1000, mana cost 40, cooldown 45. As far as I can tell, this doesn't get removed when you get hit by an enemy hero. So this is a decent support item, especially if you have Holy Locket. Actually, no, it's not a heal. Never mind. It's not bad, though. I don't think. Ripper's Lash, tier 1 neutral artifact. Active Flay. Embed thorns into all enemies in a 200-unit AoE. For the next 10 seconds when they are attacked, they take additional physical damage. Here attacks do plus 12. Non-active do plus 4. Cast range 700, no mana cost, 30-second cooldown. So this is basically for stuff like Chen or Enchantress. Anything that's just built around summons. Overall, I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. It doesn't specify, like, for, you know, only the caster, though. So it's also good if you have someone that can attack really fast, like, say, Snapfire. But then I don't know how that would work. I don't think it would actually function with Snapfire's attack. No, wait, it does damage based on your... Let me... Oh, it does damage based on attack damage. So that actually might work with Little Shredder. It'll be interesting to see how this functions with it. Spark of Courage, Tier 1 neutral. Courage provides plus 10 damage when the hero is above 50% and plus 5 armor when they are below that threshold. It's okay. Moving on. Trusty Shovel, Tier 1 neutral. Dig channel for 1 second to dig up a Bounty Rune, Hearing Salve, or Enchanted Mango, or Cobalt. Digging a river always digs up a Water Rune. Cast range 250, no mana cost, 60 second cooldown. So these two are still Tier 1s. This is still a Tier 1. This is still a Tier 1. And then we have new ones. The now is a Tier 1 neutral, I think is just weird wording. But all in all, I think the most interesting ones, at least to me, are the Occult Bracelet, because this is kind of the heroes that I play. Orb of Destruction, I think, is good for when I'm more aggressive. Ripper's Lash, I think, is neat as well, and I'm curious on how this functions, but I don't think I can make it. But let's try. Actually, you know what? I'll do that in a minute. Brigand's Blade, returning as a Tier 2 neutral artifact. Passive Dark Mercy, withers attacks deal 3 more damage to enemies for each 5% health they are missing. So if there's a... So you can get this up to 19 times and do 50... No. 50... Yeah, 57 more damage at most. This can be strong. Don't know how strong. Essence Rain, returning active life essence, increase current health and max health by 240 for 15 seconds. Mana cost 115, cooldown 25. Alright. This will be interesting to see on how this functions. Gossamer Cape, Tier 2 neutral. Passive Sixth Sense. Wielder automatically dodges an attack from an enemy hero every 6 seconds. I think this got lowered, but I'm not sure. I feel like it was higher. But I'm, as stated, unsure. Oh no, it used to be 4. Really? Okay, so it actually got nerfed. That sucks. Outside of the nerf, it's pretty good on supports. Iron Talon, Tier 2 neutral. Chop, active. Targets a non-player enemy unit to remove 80% of its current health or instantly destroys the targeted tree. Cast range 350, no mana cost, 20 second cooldown when used on creeps, 4 second when used on trees. It's okay. We used to have this as like a normal item, and then over time it got removed. And then it came back as a neutral, and blah blah blah. It's okay. Searing Signet, new. Passive, burn through. Instances of 40 magical damage or more set enemies on fire for 5 seconds, causing them to take 15 magical damage per second. This effect doesn't stack. Doesn't affect buildings. Tick rate 0.25 seconds. Total damage 75. No cooldown. I really like this item. This is very interesting. I'm actually curious on how this would work with something like Bat Rider, because of how he functions. Then again, I think Sticky Napalm only affects his abilities, so never mind. Because this would make him broken. Just because of that tick rate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect items just because of this. Tumbler's Toy, returning as a Tier 2 neutral. Active Vault, propels your hero forward 300 units. Can't be used within 3 seconds if the owner receives damage from player source. No mana cost, 15 second cooldown. Like a little baby Force Staff with the blink cripples. It was okay. This used to give mana, so that's what made it decent. But it no longer does that. Gale Guard, new Tier 3 neutral. Cyclonic Shield active. Envelops caster in a 400 all damage barrier that blocks 75% of incoming damage and lasts up to 10 seconds. While active, the barrier also provides 50% slow resistance, no mana cost, 30 second cooldown. I really like this. This one's really interesting. It's great for carries because of the slow resist. It's great for your offlaners because of the damage barrier and the slow resistance. It's great on supports. This is a really fun item. Gunpowder Gauntlet. Tier 3 neutral. Passive Beat the Crowd. Your next attack splashes to all enemies in a 250 unit radius for 50% of the attack's damage. Original target isn't affected by the splash, but takes an additional 120 magic damage instead. Cooldown 6 seconds. This one's really fun too. These two are just... They're new and they're interesting, and that's what makes them fun. I can see this being good on, like, Puck. Or even just, like, Tiny. I can see this being really good on a lot of characters. A lot of heroes. Nemesis Curse, returning. Passive Glass Cannon, the owner takes 8% more damage from all sources. Passive Glassify, when attacking a hero, apply a debuff, increasing the damage received by the hero by 12% for 5 seconds. Only one target can be affected by Glassify at the same time. Okay, we've had this. Ninja Gear, Tier 3 neutral. Solitary Disguise, cast Smoke at the seat on yourself, only that lasts up to 15 seconds, no mana cost, 60-second cooldown. So, it's going to be interesting to see what gets comboed with this for initiators. Because giving yourself a free smoke is always really nice. This used to give movement speed and agility with the old system, so I'm curious as to how that's going to go from here on out. Serrated Shiv, new Tier 3 neutral. Passive Gut 'em. Attacks have a 20% chance to have True Strike and deal 10% of the target's current health as bonus physical damage. Procs against Roshan always deal a fixed 200 bonus. Illusions may create the proc effect, but deal no additional damage. Cooldown 1 second. This I see on carries in general. This is like, you get this on a carry and they are going to be strong, especially like something like Juggernaut or Anti-Mage that have low base attack times. This is going to be a big one. This is going to do a lot. I'm curious to see if this is going to be meta-defining and get nerfed. Whisper of the Dread, Tier 3 neutral, passive Tunnel Vision. Equipped hero has their daytime vision reduced by 50%, but their spell damage increased by 10. So this is basically, I'm a caster and I want to do damage. To be fair, there is also this, but this is more usable. Ceremonial Robe, Tier 4 neutral. Ceremonial Aura lowers enemy status resistance by 10% and magic resistance by 10% in a 1200 unit radius. We've had this. Crippling Crossbow, new Tier 4 neutral. Active Hobble. Hits an enemy for 75 damage, then slows their movement speed by 80% and reduces their health restoration by 40% for 4 seconds. Its slow fades over the duration of debuff, while the health restoration penalty is constant for the duration. Cast range 600, mana cost 75, cooldown 12. This is a really good thing on supports. I would say the health restoration is the really big one. As far as I know, this is healing, regen, like everything. This is just huge. I feel that this is going to be meta-defining. Magnifying Monocle, Tier 4 neutral artifact. Keen Eye passive. Increases cast range by 125 and attack range by 100, but for both melee and range. This is insane to me. Taking over 25 damage from a player-controlled source, or Roshan disables this effect for 3 seconds. Like, the extra melee attack range is obscene. Getting free cast range is always good. It sucks that it's disabled for 3 seconds when you take damage. But if you can get this thing to work, it's going to be massive. At least that's my opinion. Mindbreaker, now a Tier 4 neutral. Passive Silent Strike. The next attack silences the hit enemy for 2 seconds. Cooldown 12 seconds. Good for carries. Ogre Seal Totem, now a Tier 4 neutral. Active Ogre Seal Flop. Flop forward like an Ogre Seal 2 times, dealing 250 damage and slowing enemies in a 275 radius by 100% for 1.5 seconds on each bounce. 400 bounce distance, mana cost 25, cooldown 40. We've had this, it's not bad. Ferric Cloak, I think is how you say that. New Tier 4 neutral. Active Retribution. Mark an enemy unit for 6 seconds. 60% of all damage dealt to the caster is reflected to the marked unit as physical damage. Cast range 800, no mana cost, cooldown 40 seconds. I am curious if this works on self-damage. Because if so, certain heroes are going to be very silly with this. This is actually also really good as well for metas, or not metas, but team compositions around minus armor because of how because of how damage types work. It's going to be interesting. I'd see this being really interesting. Potentially meta-defining like this. But I have no idea. Book of the Dead. Now a Tier 5 neutral artifact. Active Greater Demonic Summoning. Summon 2 demonic warriors and 2 demonic archers that last 75 seconds. The warrior burns mana every hit, reveals invisible units, and deals magic damage to whoever kills it. The archer has a basic dispel ability with a slow and a passive movement and attack speed, or a no mana cost 80-second cooldown. Remove mention of certain removed item. Alt note specify warriors and archers stats. So there was an item called Necronomicon that got removed. And that's why this tooltip is here. and it's very funny. Alt note specify the stats is good because everyone was just like, what are the stats? So that's fair. Fallen Sky returning as a tier 5 neutral. I like this item. I'm happy it's back. Active Fallen Sky transforms Wheeler into a meteor that strikes the target 315 radius area after 1 second flight. All hit enemy units are stunned for 1.6 seconds, deal 150 impact damage, and set on fire for 6 seconds, which deals 60 magical damage every second. Affects buildings. Impact damage for buildings reduced by 50%. Cast range 1200, no mana cost, 15 second cooldown. Nothing says that this gets negated when you get hit, which used to be a mechanic of it, if I remember correctly. So I'm curious if that's still in play. But this is really cool. I'm happy that this is back. This is probably going to be meta if it's obtained on specific heroes. Magic Lamp, now a tier 5 neutral. Passive Rejuvenate. When a wearer's health falls below 20%, they will receive a Heartless spell and be healed for 1500 health, cooldown 75 seconds. It's not bad. Minotaur Horn returning as a tier 5 neutral. I think this used to be tier 3. Active Lesser Avatar. Applies a basic Dispel, grants 50% magic resistance and immunity to pure and reflected damage for 2 seconds. For the duration of the effect, any negative effect from enemy spells has no effect. No mana cost, 40 second cooldown. Mini BKB, but it's still really good. Item reworked for Pirate Hat. Pirate Hat got item reworked. Okay. This used to give you a bounty rune with its active, so now what? Tier 5 neutral. Passive Plunder steals 150 gold from enemy heroes that die within 1200 units. If the wearer of the hat is the killer, there is no range limit and an additional 150 gold is stolen. Passive Buried Treasure. Gold loss on death is reduced by 100%. That's okay. This one is really impacting if you can do it. Stealing gold is huge, but especially if you can steal 300. And then you don't lose any when you die, which is even more big. I don't know if it's going to be huge, all that crazy of an item anymore, but still, it's a lot. Spider Legs, returning as a tier 5 neutral artifact. I love this thing. It's so good. Active Skitter. Grants 20% movement speed, 50% turn rate improvement, and free pathing for 10 seconds. Free pathing means that you can go through buildings, go through allies, you can go up mountains when you would normally have to, like, walk up the stairs. So that's what that means. For 10 seconds. Walking over trees causes them to be destroyed. No mana cost, cooldown 20 seconds. This is good. This is a really big item, just for all the mobility that it provides. It has a long duration, too. I feel like this is going to be meta-defining. Stygian Deso, now a tier 5 neutral. Passive, greater corruption and attacks reduce the target's armor by 13 for 7 seconds. Okay. It's obviously big for armor stuff. I can see this on carries, but also I can see this on carries, I can see this on carries, and I can see this on carries. So, yeah. Unrelenting Eye, tier 5 neutral. Passive Relentless, provides 100% slow resistance. Bonus reduced by 20% for every hero within 300. Against slow metas or slow compositions, I can see this being really good. Don't know how good it's going to be, though. But, yeah, there's some really... I'm happy about Spider Legs coming back, and I think Minotaur Horn coming back is great. This one's really fun, too. The tier 5s, I think, are really strong, and that's what matters. List of neutral enchantments. Alert, available at tiers 1 to 4, plus 10 to 25 attack speed, and plus 0 to 300 bonus night vision. Okay. Brawny, available at tiers 1 to 4, 125 to 275 health, and 0 to 12 health regen. Okay. Mystical, available at tiers 1 to 4, 1 to 4 mana regen, 0 to 22% magic resist. This is, I would say, pretty decent if you can get it, like 2 and on. For what I should talk about all these. The attack speed available on this is mediocre. The night vision is okay. The health regen on this is pretty high, but not too severe. The health is more valuable. The magic resist on here is as good as the mana regen. I just see this one being really good. Quickened, available at tiers 1 to 4, 15 to 30 movement speed, and 0 to 220 mana. This one's really good too. This is great on your initiators, your supports, like everybody. Getting extra mana pool is really big. Tough, available at tiers 1 to 4, 5 to 14 damage, and 0 to 10 armor. 10 armor is a lot. The damage isn't all that much. This is just taken for the armor. This is good for countering armor reduction. You can see it being good. Vast availables at tiers 2 and 3. Plus 60 to 90 attack range, melee and range. I'm really shocked, actually, at getting extra attack range for melee. It just seems to be a recurring theme for stuff. Greedy, available at tiers 2 and 3. Plus 75 to 100 or 100 GPM, 200, 250 mana, minus 30/60 attack damage. Extra gold per minute can be really valuable on supports if you can get it to function, because this will still function even in death. The mana is nice, and if you're a support, generally speaking, you don't tend to attack too much. But it's good that it's not just positive buffs for the enchantments. Keen-Eyed, available at tiers 2 and 3. Plus 125, 135 cast range, plus 1.5 mana regeneration at the cost of minus 15% max mana. This is really good. There was an item that was tier 2 that basically did something like this. And it was one of my favorite items in the game, which got obviously removed. But if you can get this benefit for some of the tier 2s, like what's a good tier 2 or 3 that'd be decent on? I can see it being really nice with Syrian Signet. Gale Guard, really good. Let's see, what else? We got Whisper of the Dread, just for, you know, all kinds of amps to spells. I can see it being really good, honestly speaking. Where am I? There I am. Vampiric, available as at tiers 2 to 4. Plus 12 to 20% lifesteal, plus 8 to 16% spell lifesteal. It's not bad. It's good to see that. Good to see this concept come back. There's an item that was just basically, here's lifesteal and a bit of vision. So having the lifesteal is still good. Timeless, available at tiers 4 and 5. 10 to 15% debuffs, amplification, and 10 to 20% spell amplification. There was an item that did this. It was a tier 4 that had these effects. So kind of sucks that it got pushed back to tier 5, but I can kind of understand it. This one can be really good depending on the hero you are. Titanic, available at tiers 4 and 5, plus 15 to 25% base attack damage, plus 10 to 15% status resist. I can see this one being really good. Crude, available at tiers 4 and 5, plus 20 to 30% slow resist, minus 12 to 18% base attack time, minus 15% in. This is amazing on carries. Like, both of these are great on carries. The minus attack time, if you're not built on right-click on spells all that much, which a lot of heroes aren't going to be, losing attack time as well as slow resistance is massive. But then we have the tier 5 onlys. Boundless is plus 150 attack range, melee range, as well as plus 350 cast range. There was an item that did something similar to this, but it was far more utility based and was very much built for casters. It was like cast range, you got vision, and its active would let you see invis. So it's sort of here, it's sort of not. Evolved, available at tier 5, plus 40 to your primary stat, plus 24 all attributes for universal heroes. So there was something called, I forget what it was called. I hate myself a little bit. And it was plus 70 or plus 75 to your primary, and then obviously reduced for universal. So, but that's really all it did, so I can see why it's not as strong here. Overall, not bad. Depending on, it's a decent for universal heroes. I can see this being good for like strength heroes. Feverish, available at tier 5, plus 15% cooldown reduction at the cost of 15% more mana cost and mana loss increase. Thought Infinity Nikki started by now. There's never been a longer book. Yeah. It's just a lot of reading. I'm not even halfway. Like, you can see it. Wise, available at tier 5, plus 600 XP a minute. This is basically, if you get it early on a support, and then change it, that's really the only way I see this being good. Dumb Raider of this wrote too much. Well, they're patch notes. That's why there's a lot. Like, this is redefining how a game gets played in almost every single way. Should have been posted on fanfiction anyway. Probably. Would be interesting to see patch notes on there. Audacious. Available at tier 5, plus 100 attack speed, plus 80 magic attack damage, plus 10% incoming. I can see this on carries and heroes that can get in and out really quick. Fleet-footed, available at tier 5, plus 115 movement speed. Does not stack with movement speed bonuses from boots. This one is huge for a few specific heroes, but I'll get to them when I get to them. Hero updates. I finally get the meat and potatoes. Patch notes on fanfiction would be hilarious. They would. It'd be like super funny to be just like going to fanfiction and it's like one of the highest voted. It's like, here are the patch notes for Marvel Rivals. And you're just like, yeah, sure, I'll upvote that. Okay, hero updates. A lot of words. Before I do that, I want to see how the neutral item stuff works. Okay, so how do I actually do this? You. Okay, neutrals. Can I actually do this? How do I get Madstone in here? I might as well talk about like the changes to this. So you used to have to like painfully select which facet they were on the bots you would spawn, and now you can actually, like, you had to go in here, and then you had to like click on it, and it was annoying. And now it's like, oh, you can just do this, and it's really nice. This is for all the runes. Edit selected. That's annoying. I don't think I can craft them. Ah. Well, it just gives you the active effects. Oh, wait. Oh, cool! Okay, that's how this works. So now I want to do... Okay, this isn't how this works normally, but... Yeah. Not getting patch notes only from there. Me, the best Spider-Man, going there daily. Yeah. Okay, so how does this work? Oh, that's it? It's kind of hard to see the effect. I mean, it's there, but it's hard to see.
4x4.
Yeah, it'll get whipped. Okay.
Look at his waddle.
That's a bit of a... I kind of wished I had a sound effect. Yeah, at least that one does. Yeah, no, this should have a sound effect. I don't know why it doesn't. Even if it's just a ribbit. What else is new? That's kind of like, who cares? And I'll check that later when I get the Bat Rider. Check that later. Check that. Ooh, I like that sound effect.
Need roads?
Hi, you. Sorry. It's just a fun sound effect. Oh, I want to see this one.
Nice and easy.
That's just me moving.
Reach for the skies.
Okay. That not having a sound effect feels little eh. What else is new? That should be looked at. This.
Crosslots.
Okay, that one's pretty understandable. Can I disjoint that?
Yes.
Oh, you can!
The back way.
Okay. Interesting. What's the next one on here? That's self-explanatory.
Making tracks.
Wrong person. Put it on.
By the by.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Shush.
I'm under attack.
Alright. It's good that it has a visual. It'd be stupid if it didn't.
Sometimes it goes where you want it.
I love that thing. And I know those. Okay. So then this gives movement speed, but I can't go higher with boots. Yep, okay. got all that finally explained. I have 12 minutes. I can look at like one hero change. Oh, alright. Let's look at Abaddon. Okay, Abaddon. Universal hero. Base damage increased by 26. Base int decreased from 19 to 18. Damage at level 1 increased by 10 from 40 to 50 to 50 to 60. Strength gain increased from 2.2 to 2.6. Agility gain increased from 1.3 to 1.5. Intelligence gain increased from 1.6 to 2. So this isn't that big of an issue. It gets fixed in time. Damage gain per level decreased from 3.6 to 2.7. Damage at level 30 decreased by 25. From 173 to 183 to 148 to 158. Okay. Facets. The quickening cooldown reduction per hero death increased from 4 to 6. And level 10 talent plus 15% Curse of Avronis. Move slow replaced with 10% Withering Mist healing reduction. What is that? There. Damage enemies applies to Withering Mist debuff for 5 seconds. Affected enemies have their health regeneration. Oh yeah, that thing. Okay, that's not bad. Sucks that he lost the slow. I think Abaddon he definitely got buffed. He needed the stats. This is the case with like all the universal heroes. Having 10 higher base is really good. 1 lost int is kind of who cares. Losing the damage at 30 sucks. But that's just because of the changes to universal hero damage gain. And I'm not going to state that every single time because it would just be annoying. Losing this kind of sucks. Just simply because it was like 25% to 40%. But this is pretty strong as well. Simply for like a core Abaddon. The quickening change isn't bad. Mephitic Shroud is still really good. So it'll be interesting to see what gets picked. It still might be Mephitic Shroud. I don't know. Because it's better for farming to a minor extent. As for item changes, I'm going to try my best here. The change to Kanda sucks. Because he used to build that. Or he could build that. I can see Gleipnir on a support Abaddon being kind of nice. Actually, no, it's not. Nothing in here to any heavy extent really affects Abaddon all that much. Outside of Sanjin and Yasha for, like, cores. Revenant's Brooch might be decent on him. But, yeah, I'm going to try to not do that too much. So let me get back down here. Alchemist. Aghanim Scepter granting moved from Chemical Rage to Grievel's Greed. This is just for stuff like ability draft, I think. Actually, wait. Oh, that actually is huge for ability draft. Because now it's like, if you get Alchemist, you're not completely gimped. And you have a really impacting Scepter upgrade. Okay. Facet, Dividends. New. Grievel's Greed. Alchemist gains 75 increased gold per minute for each Aghanim Scepter he has granted to allies. I don't know if this affects him, but this is actually really big and interesting. What was this other ones again? Seed money starts with more gold. Okay. Mixologist. Meh. Dividends, I think, is the best one. Because if you can, like, start it early, it does a lot. But seed money was just kind of fickle. Like, seed money is better early, obviously, but there's not much you can actually do with an extra 250 gold, I don't think. Outside of a few items. Grievel's Greed, Aghanim Scepter granting range increased from 600 to global. Ooh, that's good buff. Og Scepter granting is now announced to all allies and spectators. Oh, okay. Let's see how that looks. Really quickly. Put on dividends. Ow. Okay, so it just shows it here. And that shows to allies and spectators, so now everybody knows who's gotten it. That's very important, actually, for replay reasons, as well as competitive Dota. All right, acid spray radius decreased from 400 to 625 to 350 to 500. Pretty crippling. Now applies 1 corrosive weapon restack with each tick of damage. Hello. What is that change? Unstable concoction now applies 1 corrosive weaponry stack per second of brood time. And corrosive weaponry stacks are also applied when enemies take damage from alchemist spells. Acid spray applies 1 stack per second. Unstable concoction applies 1 stack per second of brood time. What I just read. Stacks per attack increase from 1 to 2. Max stacks increase from 4 to 10 to 10 to 16. Movement slow per stack decrease from 4 to 7 to 1.5 to 3%. Okay, this is fair. And it's technically worse. Yeah, it's worse. It used to be a 70% slow, and now it's 16, 30, 48. That's a massive gut. To be fair, all this. Movement slow. Okay, and then base attack damage reduction per attack decreased from 3 to 6 to 1.5 to 3%. So this is actually half. Oh, wait, no, it's not. So now it's 60 to 48. Okay, that's not much of it as bad of a nerf, but still. Combat Rage bonus move speed decreased from 30 to 60 to 20 to 40. Okay. None of you saw what I just wrote. Great. Okay. Here it is on the screen. Yeah, okay. I'm terrible. Let me see how many times this ticks. It's about 16 ticks. Okay, because it's 15 seconds and it doesn't uncast. That's not bad, honestly speaking. Like causing scaling slows to multiple targets. Oh, wait. Okay, perfect. It actually does state it too. Does it affect him? Oh, it does! Hello! So, 75 times 5. That's 375 free GPM. They kind of pay for themselves over time. Interesting. Okay. With all that stated, this facet is really good. If you can get it to work, it's fantastic. I don't know if it doubles during turbo. I doubt it. This is a huge change, both of these, for the scepter granting. It's very good. The radius decrease sucks, but this is impacting. This is a nice buff. The tweak to slowing sucks, but all in all, it's buffed, I would say, even with the nerf to the totals, and then the nerf to his move speed sucks. Losing 20 at 18 hurts a lot, and that's really all I can do for today. So I'm going to close my game because it's actually also out of date. Fantastic. And that was part 1 of the patch note reading. I'm going to continue on starting with the Ancient Apparition changes and hopefully get all the heroes done tomorrow. And then after that, I might play like a little simple match just to see some of the changes. But I'm not sure yet. But anyway, that'll be for future me to figure out. I hope you all have a good rest of the day. I hope you all have a good rest of the night. I hope you all have a good rest of whatever. I'm going to go, and until next time, goodbye.